from the truth. All of our favorite melodies in the classic songbook of America are all jazz songs. I mean, they're all jazz, and everything comes from the heart, and the melodies cannot be beat. And that's still alive today. Just the ability to reach in there and grab those heartstrings and pull them right out. You'll hear that on this whole album. I mean, it's such a cornucopia of different emotions, but it runs the gamut. I mean, it really is. It's one of those you can put it on from start to finish, and there's no filler, none. I mean, and everything is going to touch you in a different way, and in a way that you didn't necessarily expect, but that you'll definitely appreciate. My name is Chris McKinley. I'm a professional mixing and mastering engineer. I also do some producer capabilities. That's what I did for this particular album. I was a co-producer with LG Hamilton. Basically in charge of going in and setting up the recording studio so that we get exactly the sound we want, and to capture the very special talent of Butter in the genre.
All right. Elaborate on that more, like how is it their talents, or like what do they bring to the table that you're not used to seeing?
Oh, well, it's incredible. I mean, first of all, it's bebop jazz, it's small form jazz, small combo jazz. Obviously, compared to most pop music today, it's night and day different. It's a breath of fresh air for me. I love that particular type of music. But they do it with a connection that belies their young age in many cases. And what you hear are seasoned performers that are very comfortable and at home on their instruments, but also just as adept at playing together in a combination where they read off each other. They can, it's almost a bit prescient. They can tell where the song is going, and they go there together without having to necessarily give any signals or anything like that. They're very impressive. It actually started because I heard their music over the internet, and I got in contact with Butter, and I said, I really love what you're doing. If you need any mixing, mastering, that sort of thing, please get in contact with me. I'd like to do something for you. So he invited me to come out they were playing a gig, and I went and saw them, and they had their new singer with them, who'd been there for a little less than 3 weeks, I think, was Collia. And when I heard them together, I was just floored. This sounded like a group that had been playing together with relaxed easiness, as if they'd been doing this for years. You could tell these were pros. They might be a little young, but they were incredibly professional. They were incredibly seasoned. There was no challenge in keeping up with either the music or with the directions that they were going when they would improvise and things like that. It was so amazing to watch. When the gig was over, I walked up and said, I want to make a record for you. And I want to do it at no charge. It was just that special. And in addition, here in Calliope, I consider her, and I've told her this, I consider her a once-in-a-generational talent. You don't find singers like that just everywhere. I've been around this business for decades. Someone who's just as at home in a quiet jazz nightclub as on the largest operatic stage in the world. She's a trained opera singer, but she's also got the jazz chops, and that combination is just, as anyone will tell you, it's very rare to find. But this lady has the chops, and it was amazing. And of course, the rest of the band, I'd already made that offer before I even heard her, so that was just icing on the cake for that. So I made the offer, we introduced ourselves, said what we were going to do, and then Butter set the rest of it up. Amazing. Well, first of all, we worked with the music group. That's the studio owned by LG Hamilton up in Edmond, Oklahoma. It's a candy store for a producer. I'm old school. I was trained back in the days when there wasn't digital. Everything was analog. And he's got the same toys that you're going to find. And if you go to a Hollywood studio for recording, it's all the same stuff. I mean, they literally just transplanted it from there to here, and then set it up again, and there we go. I'd already heard the rehearsals. We'd had a chance to talk with Butter in the Genre about the kind of sound they were going for. And of course, being a fan of that particular genre of jazz anyway, I'm familiar with how to get there. I've done a lot of jazz. And so we talked about what we wanted. When we went into the studio, I was making like microphone recommendations. I knew what I wanted to get with their horns, for instance, with the piano. The drum setup is fairly straightforward, but typical of jazz drums. They're finicky but predictable. So we had that going, and specifically for Calliope, I wanted to get a timeless recording here. We went with something that represented a tube microphone from U-47 like Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald would use at Capitol Records. And then I also wanted a ribbon microphone because it's got this really dark, warm, rich tone to it to bring those aspects out of the voice. I can mix those together. And you get the clarity, you get the richness, you get the harmonics, everything you're going to want in there without any of the noise. And of course, these were nice, top shelf microphones. Everything was absolutely top shelf at the studio, so it was fun to play with.
Nice.
We took a little time, and we got the sound right. I'm old school in that sense too. My philosophy is get it right at the source. Okay, so I want to, and because I'm coming from Al Schmidt's school of thought on this at Capitol Records, Al's idea was everybody after him in the music production chain, he wanted to put them out of business. He wanted to record a record so good that it didn't need a mixing engineer or a mastering engineer. And quite often he arguably succeeded. Now, I'm not saying I'm Al, none of us are, but it's a wonderful goal to aspire to and to keep the philosophy alive in recording. So it's worth it more to me to get the sound just perfect up front so that you have as little to do on the back end as possible. And then, so we would go in there and we would take sound checks, and it would be excellent, and I'm going, it could be better. And we would tweak it, and we would get it better. And of course, with musicians of this caliber, it just made it easy. It truly was incredible. Every take, and I've been doing this a long time, every take was record worthy, every one. And everyone was different. That's how amazing this group is. And of course, I have to brag on Calliope. As a mixing engineer, as a mastering engineer, I had to do absolutely no pitch correction whatsoever for the entire album. And this is with a young lady who sang scratch tracks along with everyone else's recordings, as everybody else was recording their parts. She's in the studio booth with us, singing a scratch track that was worthy of a record itself, just for practice. Just an amazing young lady. And like I said, I never had to do any pitch correction at all. Her breath controls are just fantastic. One of the most talented singers I've ever had a chance to work with. And I've worked with quite a few names at this point. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I want to brag on, all right, I already mentioned Calliope. She's got that combination ability as an opera singer. She can belt like Aretha or Idina, in modern context and all that. But at the same time, she's got the jazz chops to lay back. It's almost like a Julie London, singers. Ella could do this too. Ella could lay back. Ella was known for being, big and boisterous with her performances, but she had the ability to lay back in such control. And Calliope can do all that too. And her chops, I tell you, I haven't heard someone with the natural scat chops of Ella since Ella. She's that good. So that's a lot of fun. That's just a lot of fun. It adds an extra spice to the live performances too. Butter, man. Obviously, he's been doing this a while. He's honed his craft. And the amazing thing that I admire is that he's still getting better. Okay? He's in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've hung around the guy. His tone, his phrasing, his breath control are all better. Noticeably better. And he was no slouch to start with, okay? So, but this guy gives you the melodic sensibility like a Jay Farmer, where you can lay back and just hear these beautiful melodies. It's like you're wondering where it's coming from on the horn. But at the same time, he can also turn around and give you the harmonic complexity of a Freddie Hubbard or a Clifford Brown, while still retaining the melody within it. It's an amazing combination. Of course, we get a chance to see him kind of weekly at the local jams and things like that. He brings that same A game to every performance, and it really is special.